here at the Clapham Picturehouse, bringing you more news, reviews and so much more to do with the world of film.
Coming up on this week's show, a documentary about the greatest of the 90s boy bands,
J-Lo takes us to Cougar Town,
and a touching story of an old friendship rekindled.
In our first review, we go behind the scenes of an iconic boy band over the last 20 years and see them rekindle their friendship and find out whether or not BackStreet really is back. Let's take a look at the clip.
From 1999 to about 2002, we're the biggest band in the world.
Nobody thought it was going to be as big as it was.
The best-selling boy band in history.
Then it just stopped.
This is my That is the dance to Backstreet's Back.
Oh, it is sort of, yeah, isn't it?
Backstreet. Anyway, this film was a film that actually, for me, I was so excited to watch because my childhood, my early teens, the band of choice was the Backstreet Boys. This is for you too, isn't it?
Well, I was saying to you before that the first single I ever got was "I Want It That Way" on tape. So that's how cool we are. Yeah.
This was revisiting my childhood essentially by watching this film, and I appreciate that it won't be for everyone, but it's a really interesting music documentary going behind the world's biggest boy band. You know, they have dominated the charts for the last 20 years. This is pretty incredible what they've achieved.
What I think it's important for people to understand as well, and wow, this is making us sound old, is bands like One Direction and people like that and modern pop artists have been able to expand across the world through social media, a very easy, free and global way of marketing yourself.
Yeah.
This predates that, and they are, when I think of boy bands, I don't think of Take That, I do think of the Backstreet Boys. They are the iconic boy band.
And you know, that kind of groups. Yeah, love them. Now the great thing about this is what you've just mentioned is that they do showcase this. We see old footage in the 90s of the boys travelling on a bus to different high schools around the States. So they're like outside a school and a bus pulls up of girls and they're like, "Who are you guys?" And they're like, "We're a new boy band, we're the Backstreet Boys." And they're like, "Prove it." And so then they suddenly just rock out these amazing harmonies.
Amazing.
And this is like 90s video footage, which is just brought back to life, and it's great. And the structure of this film is about getting to the heart of this band, and what you see is not only that kind of stuff, you see the politics that go on then and now between them. They are friends at the end of the day. Although they were brought together, they are five normal guys from different areas that were brought together by a guy called Lou Pearlman, and a businessman who actually consequently turns out to be a criminal and a crook, and he has been arrested and he is still in prison, and he invested a lot of money into this band, brought them together. They went far beyond anyone's expectations. Then they got dropped because they wanted their independence from the record label, and then they regrouped on their own accord. And this is what is brilliant, is to see how this has all come together and behind the scenes that you wouldn't normally see. There are a few problems with this film. It's not going to be for a wide audience. This is for a key audience of 90s teens that want to see what happened to this boy band. But what's really great about it and what makes it a great documentary is the flow of it. And it does cut between not only their performances and how they engage as friends, but also taking them back to, as the title, showing what you're made of, and it takes them back to their childhoods and what brought you together as people. So you go back to each of their homes, and there's a lot of problems that happened within their own family lives through to fame and all this kind of stuff. So it's really, really interesting. I think it is one of those documentaries that is going to be a staple on Home End. If I was to give it a star rating for this, the real deal on this film has to be the fact that it's got 4 stars, because it is a true music documentary for those who are really interested in that band. There is 20 years in the making of these guys. They are iconic in their own right. They're not the cool, hip band that lots of people want to see music documentaries made of, but it's so interesting to watch. So please do go and give it a watch. 4 stars.
4 stars, and you get That's the Real Deal. From the Backstreet Boys to the boy next door, as J-Lo goes all cougar on us and falls for the hunky lad who's her neighbour. But their torrid affair, guess what? Don't go to plan. Here's a clip.
Stay away from me! And stay
sons!
I can't do that, Claire. I live next door.
So that is a clip from The Boy Next Door, and guys, prepare yourself for a 5-star because Bex loved this. Isn't that right?
Oh my god, this film. It is so funny and so bad that it's good.
Okay. I like movies like that.
I've not had as much fun in the cinema as when I watched the Fast and the Furious film with all these journos as well. That is one of the best things of my job, of being able to go to these kind of films with a group of journalists who know exactly what you're going to get, and you go in there and you just take it for what it is and absolutely have a ball with it.
Well, you know when you sort of sit there about 30 minutes and you turn to, is it just me or is this insane?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Okay, right, let me take you through this. The Boy Next Door is a psychological thriller about a classics teacher, J-Lo, who has a new next door neighbour who is her neighbour's young nephew who comes to stay with him, and played by Ryan Gosling, and he is this young, fit, you know, hunk of a man, and her marriage is breaking down because her husband had an affair, and she, you know, one steamy night has a secret little romp with him, and he then starts turning into this psycho who stalks her.
It happens.
Yeah, it absolutely happens, and that's how the kind of story progresses. And in a nutshell, it tries to be so serious, which is what makes it so funny. And some of the scenes, I don't know how this script got passed. Yeah. Because it's glaringly obvious the problems with it. So let's think about the first time we see Ryan's character. Right. Okay, she's trying to get her car out of the garage, and she's pushing up the car, it's on one of those electric buttons, and she's pushing up the door, and it gets stuck, and she's going, oh my goodness, it's going to fall on me. And then suddenly the shot is an arm with a white t-shirt and muscle, and you kind of go, what's happening here? It zooms out, and this guy's like shiny, beautiful white teeth, and you know, just these gorgeous looks, and he's just like, hi.
And she's just like, hello.
No, but the brilliant thing about this is she's just like, who are you? And then suddenly, in the background, comes on a wheelchair his old grandpa, and he comes zooming up like Johnny Knoxville in Bad Grandpa, and he's like, oh, it's my nephew. And it's so funny, and from that point you kind of go, what the hell is this? And there's loads of these kind of, you know, just beautiful steamy shots of him as a mechanic and just fixing a car and stuff, and the tension is growing, and then suddenly she gives in and she has this big steamy night. And I have to say, forget 50 Shades of Grey. If you want to see a steamy sex romp, this film has got that one scene where everyone's a bit like, whoa, I don't know if I can watch that.
It's awful when you're sat in the cinema with a load of colleagues and there's two people getting it on.
Oh my god! And it is quite widely noted that Ryan Gosling was very nervous about shooting these scenes with J-Lo, and when you see what goes on in it, you can see why. God, 50 Shades, move over. Anyway, so the bad about this is that this film is terribly made. It is exec produced by J-Lo, and you know, she probably just put in the weight and thought she was doing a really good thing, but honey, stick to your day job. You know, you're trying to do too many things right now. The real problems with this is that it's absolutely every cliche in the book, and if it's played for laughs, then it will work brilliantly, but I don't think it is. It has an incredibly abrupt ending to which the whole audience went, what? And then all laughed because we just couldn't believe what had just happened. And it looks like it's a made-for-TV movie. There are some classic one-liners in there where they're trying to play on like pathetic fallacy versus the sex scene and stuff like that. There is a line where he goes, I just love your mother's cookies, which is and you just kind of go, what is going on? And when he's going, I just want to love you, Claire, and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my god, this is so cringe. But I genuinely had such a ball in the cinema watching this.
Some films are classic because they're terrible, but I mean, let's get the real deal on this. I think I know where we're headed.
Yeah, J-Lo, you know, you will never be a good classics teacher. Ryan Gosling, be prepared. I'm not really sure how much further your career will go post this film. If you're hoping for that glittering A-list Hollywood star next step, you might want to think twice and pick your roles a little bit more carefully. Just because it's got an A-list celeb in it does not necessarily mean it's going to be a good film. For me, I'm going to give this 1 star, and I have to say that is being super generous, and it is only because it made me laugh so much. This film is terrible.
That is our first ever 1 star.
Yeah.
That makes it officially the worst film we've ever reviewed.
But I am so glad to bring it to you and tell you it's a 1-star with a smile on my face.
Sounds good to me.
That's what makes it so much better. Anyway, moving on, we now look at a bit more of a better love story and a happier ending. And it's a poetic road movie directed by Harry McQueen. Let's take a look at Hinterland.
Fly low,
I feel like you're running still. You always have been. You're really good at it.
under cover of darkness, you could slip away.
And I think maybe you should stop.
So that's a clip from Hinterland. Now this movie was made for about £10,000, which is extraordinary by anyone's standards. What do we get for that, Bex?
Now, Hinterland is a beautiful film, and I'm not just saying that, like, we've been talking about this. Harry McQueen is a good friend of mine, and I've watched him grow as an actor, and I never knew that he was going to step into directing. So for this, when I saw this, I was lucky enough to see one of the earliest screenings of this, I was really blown away by it. It's a beautiful, poetic road love movie. Okay, which is a bit of a long stretch to say.
That's a mashup.
Yeah, it's a mashup of everything, and it's very British, and it's very quaint, and it's very like slow in a good way. You know, it's about a guy picks up his best friend, and they take this little journey down to a place they used to visit as kids. He wants a little bit more, she's a singer, you know, they have this lovely relationship, and you do really get that feeling, that warm and fuzzy feeling of that they are friends and they've had this really long history. And that is all it is, really, and it's just a lovely moment, or a capture of a moment of a weekend, you know, of these two, and whether or not, we don't know how it kind of, you know, will roll out throughout the movie, and I think that's a really beautiful thing. And for a first-time director, I think he's achieved a hell of a lot of great stuff in this. I think there's a beautiful poignancy in the performances and the characters. I think he's possibly reflected on an own personal relationship because it feels very true.
Right.
And I think what I know is that he found it quite difficult to find the right female character because it's two people in this road movie.
Do you know if he, gossip journalist hat going on,
hello,
do you know if he did base it on personal experience?
I don't know for sure, and
Okay.
I think that is something that we keep ambiguous for a reason, and it's we don't want to necessarily make it completely self-autobiographical. It's something that doesn't really have to matter. But what the point is on that is that actually, whether we know that or not, it comes out in the film, and that's what makes it really nice. And for 10K, I think
That's unbelievable.
it's incredible, and I think the cinematic quality of it, to bring it to the big screen as a feature, is a real feat. And I think he's done it in a way that should be really applauded. It did really well at Raindance. It got nominated there. It's getting its its opening weekend here. There's a Q&A with Harry, so he's been doing lots of publicity around this, and you know, it's a good reason to be doing it because it's a great film to talk about. It's a good indie film.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people will enjoy if you like something alternative and a softer love story.
Now, let me ask you, because not a lot has to happen in a film.
No.
If it's beautifully acted and it's well written, Boyhood's a good example.
Yeah.
To make it a great film. But there's going to be people watching this, I know, and I would be thinking this, is it a bit too sedate?
Now I struggled with things like Love is Strange, which everyone loves, because that is, you know, that is, for me, the pacing was wrong. I was engrossed in this film for all manner of different reasons. It looks beautiful, there's a lovely sort of relationship that's going on, and I've kind of said all this already, and with that it keeps the pace at a right tempo, okay? Whereas with something, you know, a few other films that are out at the moment, you kind of wonder where it's going to go with this, but with this you kind of fall into the fantasy of it all.
Is there anything you didn't like, though?
Within
Sorry,
the budget, no, it's fine. Within the budget constraints, I think, you know, if he'd have been given some more money, you could have made it, you know, sharper, you know, a little bit, the edit could have been a little bit tighter. There are a few things there, but I think, again, I have to really look at it for the budget that it's made on, which sometimes doesn't happen when you're looking at a film. And, you know, it doesn't matter to all of the audiences how much a film like this is made for, but when you appreciate it, I think it goes a long way. But yeah, I think, you know, for a first-time film, you'll be blown away. He's not a Damien Chazelle, he's not created a Whiplash that's going to win lots of Oscars, but he's definitely put himself on the map with this film, and I hope it does really well. The real deal, though, on this film is that it is a heartwarming, beautiful story. It's not going to be for everyone, again, because, you know, lots of people will have trouble with watching a slow, you know, low action movie, but if that's something that you want, and you want to be calm and you want to enjoy the beauty of film, done for a small budget but created really, really well, then Hinterland is a great film. And again, we're going from one extreme to the other this week, but I'm going to give it 4 stars.
And quickly, film of the week.
Film of the week has to be, I'm going to go with my buddy on Hinterland here.
Hinterland.
I loved Hinterland.
Not Boy Next Door?
Oh, well, for all the other reasons, maybe go and check it out if you're wanting a laugh. But no, definitely Hinterland. So that's it for this week's show. Thank you so much for watching.
And as always, for all the latest film news, reviews, and a whole bundle of more lovely stuff, check out The Real Deal on film.com. And if you would like to have your say, then tweet us at The Real Film Show.
Bye for now.